The greatest day of the year is finally here. It's the 2023 AFL Grand Final coming up tomorrow, and I'm here to give you my predictions for what is set to be a blockbuster clash in the first Grand Final that features the first versus second teams since 2014. It quite literally is the two best teams in the competition going up against each other. I can't wait. I'm going to give you my prediction for the game, my Norm Smith prediction, and how I think the game will match up and what are the key areas to win this contest. If you are new and don't want to miss any off-season content or 2024 content, then make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. It would be greatly appreciated and helps out the channel massively. Alright, well, we all know who's playing. It's the big one. It's Collingwood. It's Brisbane. It's the Grand Final. It is a repeat of the 2002 and 2003 Grand Finals, and what an exciting contest this is bound to be. Now, I say this every year, as everyone does every year. We always say this is going to be such an exciting contest. It's going to be a close game. It's going to go down to the wire after the siren. It always ends up being a 10-goal or 100-point smashing. I can see both sides this year. I don't see Brisbane getting away with a big smashing of Collingwood. I can see Collingwood smashing Brisbane, but then I can also see a nail-biting game going either way. It's a really, really interesting prospect. If Collingwood get 3 or 4 early goals without Brisbane scoring, I feel like that will lower the Brisbane heads, it will lower their confidence, and they'll go into their shell, and Collingwood, with their home crowd behind them, can really get on top of the game. On the other hand, if Collingwood, even if they start winning the contest early and Brisbane's defence holds up really strong, as we know it can and has all year, and they can control the play, control the tempo of the play, work it forward, through the corridors, down the wings, then maybe Brisbane can scrap together a low-scoring win. And by scrap, I think the game's going to be really high quality. It's 30 degrees, it's clear conditions at the MCG, and the footballing ability of these two sides cannot be disputed. These two teams play similar footy in aspects. Collingwood and Brisbane have the similarity is they like to control the game from the back line. They go in with 2 or 3 tall defenders, and then you've got the 2 small lockdown defenders that lock down the team's best small forward. And with that mix, typically, the key back in Darcy Moore and Harris Andrews has very good hands and very good ball usage at the back. And if they can get it to ground, you've got guys like Starcevich for Brisbane, Quanger for Collingwood that can use it really well into the corridors. Obviously, Nick Dacos for Collingwood. They can use it really well into the corridors, quickly move the ball through handball chains and hit up a key forward inside 50. And if that doesn't go to plan, each team has superstar small forwards. You've got Bobby Hill for Collingwood, you've got Charlie Cameron for Brisbane, Jack Ginnivan for Collingwood, Lincoln McCarthy for Brisbane, so the options are there. Now, the aspect of this game is really interesting in terms of the weather, it must be said. Brisbane are much more well suited to the hot, dry conditions than Collingwood are, who have played a lot of night games this year, and even when they're playing on the day, it's been very, very cold, classic Melbourne day. Collingwood have made 2 changes this week. Daniel McStay and Patrick Lipinski are out of the side. McStay, with that injury, misses out on the Grand Final, and Lipinski was omitted. However, Patrick Lipinski has been confirmed as a sub. Billy Frampton's replaced McStay, which is a really good replacement. The versatility up and down the ground is so useful, and they've kept in their youth substitute from the preliminary final in Jack Ginnivan. It's going to be a real nice, clean conditions for a small forward like Jack to get to work, and we know what he can do in a big game. He hasn't shown his very, very best this year, but on a game of this magnitude, on this stage, you know he can score 1 or 2 important goals that could just end up winning you the premiership. I would like to highlight one thing I've noticed from Brisbane over this final series, and definitely towards the back end of the home and away season, and that has been the ball usage of halfback. I think it's been absolutely top notch. Connor McKenna is one of those players that you think gets 35 touches a game and only ends up with about 18. It seems like the ball's in his hands so much, and for a player who didn't grow up playing footy, it's quite extraordinary how good his ball usage is. And how can I not mention Kadeem Coleman? He had career best game against Carlton in that prelim. He was absurdly good. Absurdly good. And he's got that ability to provide the run, provide the ball usage, and even sometimes kick a goal off halfback, which we've known him to do. Now, obviously, the conversation everyone is talking about is the contest, because these two teams have outstanding midfield. If you had to put it to me, I'd probably prefer Brisbane's mix. You've got Hugh McCluggage, who's a typical winger that can roll through there with a burst of speed. Josh Dunkley is the hard nut in and under player that gets the ball out of the contest, and he can also provide run on the outside if needed. You would definitely definitely say Josh Dunkley and Tom Mitchell are the ideal matchup. They both like to go in and under. They both like to go tough on their opponent. There has been talk of a Dunkley tag, and whether that does go to Tom Mitchell or potentially even Jordan DeGoey, who had a fantastic prelim against the Giants. I think a Josh Dunkley tag is a very possible chance of happening. Obviously, we can't go past Lachie Neale. Won the Brownlow on Monday. No matter how you look at it, and personally, I think it was an absolute robbery right in front of my eyes. He was probably robbed last year. Patrick Cripps should have been suspended and he should have won it, so justice served. And he also used to play for Freo, so I've got good feelings towards him. He would be over the moon right now. I think a Brownlow is the perfect way to start a team's week. You might think it distracts them, but it really gets the playing group up and about. They spent that Monday night all together. By celebrating a Brownlow, it would have been low-key because it's Brownlow week, but it really would have brought the playing group together. I think that's a perfect start to bonding this Lions group together as they have all season and leading into a massive week. As we saw at the Grand Final Parade today, the scenes were massive in terms of Collingwood fans booing Harris Andrews on the stage, booing the Toyota Hiluxes with Lions players going past. Collingwood really try to get into the head of the Brisbane players. Even when Darcy Moore and Harris Andrews were on stage lifting the Premiership Cup, Darcy Moore, you could really tell, was trying to get into his head. Even the press conference, Darcy Moore and Craig McRae, they just had a smile on their face the whole time. And Chris Fagan and Harris Andrews did look a bit nervy, I won't lie. I think this game does come down to balance and game style and who can control the tempo of the game. I'm looking at the team sheets here and I absolutely love the aspect of Brisbane all over the ground. I've gone with the 3 talls and Andrews, Gardner and Lester, and then mixing it up with the 3 good ball users coming out the back line, Small, in and under, to get on those Collingwood small forwards in Kadeem Coleman, Connor McKenna and Brandon Starcevich. Brisbane have an array of players, as I said earlier, like Hugh McCluggage, that can play on the wing but can also be chucked into the midfield as a different aspect. And I really love that. And I really love that angle of the Lions side, that they can change their dynamic halfway through the game and completely potentially flip the game over. Brisbane's defense has been the best all season, and there hasn't really been a team that has been able to break down Brisbane's defense and has been able to control a tempo of a game against them. Brisbane have obviously beaten Collingwood twice this year, and that obviously means nothing going into this game, considering one was at the Gabba, one was at Marvel, and Collingwood did have a few issues in those weeks. And in the forward line, I've gone the 2 tools in Hipwood and Danaher, the medium forward and Cam Rayner, who can push up onto a wing. He's been getting a bit of midfield time recently even, and we know the X factor he brings, alongside the Charlie Cameron, the Zach Bailey, who again can roll into that midfield and on the wing. We know the class of Collingwood, we know the class of Brisbane. I just like the dynamic of Brisbane more. I think they're going to be able to control the game from their back line, moving into the forward line. Collingwood are really going to struggle to break them down, and I'm going to go Brisbane to win this game by 2 points. We hope for a close grand final every year, but I think it's going to be Brisbane by 2 points. It's going to be a low-scoring win, despite it being a clear day. My Norm Smith medalist, I'm going to go for Cam Rayner. I think he's going to turn it on. I think he's going to kick a bag of 5. I think he's going to be dominant from the stoppage if Chris Fagan decides to chuck him in the midfield, as he has been doing recently. I'm going Brisbane by 2 points to win the flag, and Cam Rayner for my Norm Smith medal. May the best team win tomorrow on grand final day, the best day of the year. Last video of the actual footy season. There will be heaps coming out straight after the season, off-season content, 2024 content. Subscribe so you don't miss any of it. Like the video, helps out the channel heaps. And I'll see you all next time. May the best team win. Up the Lions.